Well, a recent survey says 92% of Canadians say money is not the reason why they're happy, but the experts tend to disagree. So, how much money do you need to be happy? And is it possible to just not care? Joining me on the line is Melissa Leong, a financial expert and the author of the award-winning finance book, Happy Go Money. Melissa, good morning.
Good morning, Elias. Are you happy this morning?
I am happy, but Melissa, I love when I can actually say, you wrote the book on this. You did actually write the book on this.
I did.
so,
Absolutely, I did.
so does money buy happiness?
Okay, so listen, we all need a little bit amount of money to survive, to eat, to have a roof over your head, but it's not the end-all, be-all. There is a connection between money and happiness, but it's just not as strong as you think. So, this recent survey came out and it said that, the more money that people make, they are happier, yes. But further research, decades of research, show that there is a limit. So various numbers have been trotted out over the years. Something that people are pointing to now is about $60,000 to $75,000 U.S. pre-tax. That's how much the ceiling is. After that, more money doesn't really make you happier day to day.
So it's more about getting rid of the worries in life, right? So if you're making a certain amount of money, you normally won't have to worry about how you're going to pay the next rent, how you're going to afford your next meal. If you can take away those worries, that's what leads to happiness.
Yes, and it's also really interesting because more money above some of these thresholds actually is associated with a decrease.
Oh, so what, do you have any stats on that? Like, is there a certain amount, like once you're a millionaire, it's too difficult?
Well, so the number I said before was 60 to 75,000.
Yeah.
That's for day-to-day happiness, basically how you feel right now, driving in your car or on your way to work, whatever it is. And then 90,000 for life satisfaction. That's how you feel about your life as a judgment. Any more money above that, you start to see a slight decline. And I think we surmise, researchers say that it could be because you start to focus on things that really actually don't have anything to do with happiness, like stuff. You start focusing on acquiring things and material goods. As well, you probably spend more time working, which means you're spending less time with your family, which makes people happy to spend time with other people. And you also have less freedom and more stress.
So Jeff Bezos, he's getting divorced like other people, right? Doesn't really matter at a certain point.
Yes, he is. You look at the movie stars, we like to think that there is a group of people who walk in the sun who are untouched. But as much as we do celebrity worship, those individuals, regardless of how much money they have, they also have miseries and trials and tribulations. We just don't appreciate it because we think, well, once I win $1 million, I'm set, right? That's why we all play the lottery.
Yeah. In this survey, Melissa, it was only 8% of people that said their happiness came from money. So 92% were looking at other things. Do you buy that, or do you think just people are overlooking the importance of money, even to getting that to that $80,000 or whatever that threshold is of money that makes most people happy?
All be focusing on this magic number. There is no magic number. Especially as human beings, we actually look for this magic pot of gold, but once we get there, science shows that we just want more. That's the research. It says no matter how much money you make, you think more money will make you happier. So if you make $1 million, you want 1 to 2. You make 2, you want 3 to 4, right? So the actual key, which I love about the survey, is that we all know that money is not the end-all, be-all. We all know that having freedom, which is what the survey showed, and being able to do what we want with our time, that is what makes us actually happier. But it's not how we behave, right? That's why we are building up all this debt on our credit cards. It's why we look at our Instagram feeds or whatever it is and try to compete with our neighbors. It's why people who live next to lottery winners, they are more likely to go into debt. They are likely to go bankrupt. More than the average person.
Melissa, I'm so happy you brought that up. There is this, keeping up with the Joneses has always been a thing. But
it's real.
Yeah, but it's been exacerbated, right, by social media, and by when you look at, you have 1,000 friends on social media, there's always going to be 5 of them having the time of their lives at any given moment.
Well, you think they're having the time of your lives, but what we don't realize or we don't appreciate is that the internet lies, right? You can rent a jet just to take photos for Instagram in. You filter and put curate your life for social media. So what I always say for individuals who look at social media, who look at their neighbors or anything and feel lacking, name three things right now, wherever you are, that you feel grateful for, that you have in your life that you feel happy about. Research has shown that gratitude will actually boost your joy in the interim as well as in the long term. The second thing is rather than envy somebody for their stuff, envy them for characteristics. So don't say, oh, I love that person's wealth. Say, I love that person's tenacity and the hard work that they put in acquiring their wealth.
Speaking with Melissa Leong, who's the author of the award-winning finance book, Happy Go Money. Melissa, about your book, getting away from salary and that kind of stuff, what are some other connections between money and happiness? Is it the savings that you've got in the bank? Is it being debt free? What else can you tell us about some other correlations between money and happiness?
So I can tell you a couple of quick things that you can spend your money on that science has shown that you will be happier. So the first thing is time savers. So that means, yes, you think, you know what, I am going to take this job. It's going to give me more money, but it takes an hour more driving to commute to the office. Yeah, take that into account because time is money. You can lose $1, you can earn it again, but you can't earn another minute, right? The other thing is other people. If you can spend $1 on other people, worldwide surveys show that donating to charity or spending on your loved ones will actually give you a greater boost in happiness. The last thing I'm going to say is experiences. We value experiences more over stuff. We also bond with other people when we spend on experiences. So rather than, the watch, then you spend on or save for a trip for the family. I do want to talk about debt because you brought it up.
Yeah, please.
There is no greater happiness killer than debt. So if you can put aside some money every month to lower your high interest credit card debt, I promise you that you will be happier. And when hard times come, because, life, you never know what's going to happen. Having less debt is going to make you feel so much less stressed.
Well, it sort of goes to how we started off and talking about worries, right? I can't imagine a bigger worry that just bear on your shoulders than a huge amount of debt, right? So I think that definitely ties into happiness when I think about it.
Oh, absolutely. Out of life's 56 most stressful events, where do you think getting into debt beyond means of repairment ranks? Just guess.
One. I'd say one. Or I don't know. It's like
close. It's close. It's number 5. That's more stressful than your spouse cheating on you, and more stressful than fighting with your boss.
Yeah. Melissa Leong, thank you so much for taking the time this morning. And, I'll just point this out. You're in Toronto. We're here in Montreal. You mentioned that giving to charity. And I know Quebecers statistically are the least charitable in Canada. So that's something to point out there. And I know we always have in our minds, one of the last points you brought up, that saving an hour of time or saving your time, something we deal with in traffic every morning. A lot of people got to make some decisions here when it comes to their commute. Thanks for the time this morning, Melissa.
Always happy to chat with you.
Melissa Leong, check out her book, which is called Happy Go Money.